you know, we did say to you we're going to have Governor Akwa Ibom in our studios, His Excellency Governor Akwa Ibom of Akwa Ibom State. And it's been an honor that he actually said, yes, we're going to come. He's going to come and face Nigerians in diaspora and give his own thoughts to the issues. So today we have been able to catch the golden fish. You may have been watching his uncommon strides as described by friends of the governor in Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria. Akwa Ibom State is actually located in the south-south region of Nigeria for our viewers who are in the diaspora. And this is one man who has been described as an angry man. You know, he said he was driven into politics by anger, you know, and governance. He wanted to salvage the people of Akwa Ibom State from what he described as a decay, as a moral decay, and he wants to uplift his people. He is currently the chairman, Governors Forum of Nigeria. That's the ruling party wing, I will say, chairman of the ruling party, Governors Forum, the PDP. So live in the studios from London, Ben TV, His Excellency Chief Godwill Akwa Ibom is with us. And in the next hour, we shall be discussing Akwa Ibom State, the progress, problems, and prospects. We shall also look at Nigerian politics in the days ahead towards 2015 election. And the governor has assured us that he's going to take your phone calls, and it's a no-holds-bar program. And then we're also going to have Mofet Ekoriko, a publisher of News Africa, who coincidentally is also from Akwa Ibom State, and he's going to join me in grilling His Excellency, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. You're welcome, Governor Akwa Ibom, to Ben TV, and you're welcome to London.
Thank you so much.
So first, let me say, you've been described by many people as the orator. I mean, we watch you on TV. You have the ability to hold your people spellbound. You know, what inspired you? Why did you go into politics? Let's start from there.
Well, first, I'm not aware that I'm an orator. Secondly, I don't hold my people spellbound. Rather, they hold me spellbound with their love.
Okay.
Let me thank Ben Television for having me, and for inviting me, and for having me here. And I want to congratulate you for what you are doing, particularly for Africans in the diaspora, not just the British. So I'm quite impressed with what you are doing, and you've been a source of strong information for all diasporans, particularly in the United Kingdom. So congratulations. What drives me as a governor is just what you mentioned, anger. I was angry that Africa is where it is. I was angry that we ought to, with the kind of enormous resources available in Africa, that we ought to have been better than where I found my state, for instance, and I found Nigeria. And so I was determined that if I had the opportunity, I'll do everything possible to try to move the society forward by putting in the enablers that can bring industrialization.
Okay, what have you done differently from other governors in Akwa Ibom State?
What I've done differently is from other governors, maybe in my state, for instance, is the fact that having come to this studio, if I see anything that is beautiful here, I'll go back and replicate at home. And so if I travel around and I go to Dubai and I go to other places, and I see water fountains, I'll take them and replicate the same thing at home. And I found out that the people love it. I go and see first-class international flyovers in a place like Houston with concentric roads, and I replicate it at home. And then, so, in other words, I decided that there was need to bring quality infrastructure back home, like you see in other places, and not politically motivated infrastructure, where we used to do roads, and 6 months later, the roads will start smiling, and then, of course, Africa continued to remain in squalor. So I felt that we should use Akwa Ibom as a nucleus to bring quality infrastructure, quality governance, good governance to the people. And there was also need to ensure accountability. In other words, to make sure that the people's money, you know, works for the people. Okay. So I think those are the two things I could say: bringing about quality governance and ensuring proper accountability, which has been the bane of the politics of Africa.
I got Mofat here. Has got some. Mofat,
yes, Excellency, you at the beginning of your administration, you said you wanted to create a template for the takeoff of the state in terms of economic development, in terms of industrial development. Now you spent 7 years. To what extent do you think you've achieved that?
To be honest with you, I'm very satisfied with what we have been able to do with the available resources. The first thing is that I made a pedestrian state where people pass through to other cities in Nigeria. And I decided to create access to the state. And so I had to undertake the completion of an ongoing project I met on ground, which was the airport project. And so I produced a brand new international airport. I met a site that was designated for airport, actually. And not up to 10% of work had started. Okay. So it could have been abandoned. So I created the access. And thereafter, I attacked the issue of infrastructure, massive road construction, dualization of roads, and I did not discriminate between what you might call federal road and state road and all that. And after that, I attacked the issue of education. We even got to the extent of establishing a brand new university in order to create more access for our children. And then, of course, we decided to also enable the kids from birth. And so we started inoculation and free medical services for children. And then, of course, free medical services for pregnant women. So we stopped maternal mortality. We stopped infant mortality. We even have a program for the elderly, those who have served meritoriously and retired. And they also have free medical treatment. And then that way, we have free medical services for children up to the age of 5. And we have stopped infant mortality. We have reduced maternal mortality to the barest minimum.
Now,
and we built brand new hospitals, at least 5 brand new ones. And now we are doing a state-of-the-art international hospital in order to stop the capital flight from Nigeria to India and other countries on a daily basis. So
now,
the economic enablers you are mentioning, yes, today we have done well over 300 urban roads. We have done more than 2,000 kilometers of dualized thoroughfares, and it's something, it's beautiful. And then today we have also ensured that there is total security in the state. And we have triple school enrollment. And then we are bringing out our first set of graduates from the state-owned university started by my administration in 2010. They will be graduating this November. So I believe the state is ready now.
You've mentioned quite loud project. Okay, now there's this argument that Akwa Ibom State used to be part of Cross River State.
Yes.
You sort of used your influence within the PDP to snatch the oil wells from Cross River to achieve this Laudibu project. And that's the argument out there. You use your influence, your closeness, your hierarchy in the PDP so that's where you get the money to fix all this.
Nigerian politics.
So can you tell us about the crisis of that oil well?
No, Nigerian politics. The number of oil wells in contention at that time were about maybe 75 in number. And in terms of their worth on a monthly basis, it was less than $2 million because they used to receive between 300 and 350 million in naira. That's less than $2 million a month. That's what they are talking about. And actually, they became an oil producing state in 2005 when those oil wells were actually awarded to them by the last president, President Obasanjo. And so by a Supreme Court decision that, yes, that part of a part called Bakassi belongs to Cameroon, the oil wells automatically came back to Akwa Ibom, because if you look at the waters and then Bakassi goes, that means Cross River State no longer has access to the ocean. And that means they are no longer a littoral state. And then you have to cross over Calabar River, cross over Cross River, and then get to the ocean by Bakassi before you can see the oil well. So once Bakassi went to Cameroon, and then automatically that part of the ocean belongs to Nigeria, and the nearest place that has access to that ocean is Akwa Ibom.
So it's not like you took it from Cross River?
We didn't take any case to court. We have never gone to court against Cross River State. It was Cross River State that went to court to attempt to say, look, in spite of the fact that Bakassi has been ceded to Cameroon, we want to own these oil wells. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't own it because you are no longer a littoral state. These oil wells are on the ocean. And if Bakassi goes, you are now almost bounded by inland river. So what you need to know is that in Cross River State, for instance, the Calabar port you see is located on Calabar River. And after Calabar River, you have to cross the Cross River. The Cross River takes its estuary. It takes its route all the way from the Cameroon mountains. And after you cross the Cross River, you now enter into the ocean. So what gave Cross River State a leeway to the ocean was this island called Bakassi, which is 1 hour away from Akwa Ibom, but which is 2 days journey by boat from Cross River. So, I don't forget that this island became part of Cross River only in 1995, under the regime of late head of state Abacha, who decided to create it as a local government. But instead of putting it where it had always been, he decided to put it in Cross River. But that's no longer an issue because the International Court of Justice has handed it over to Cameroon. So we had no oil dispute between us and Cross River State. Instead, it was Cross River State that went to court to attempt to say that in spite of the ceding of Bakassi, these oil wells should remain with us. And the court said, no, you have lost your rights to the ocean. You are no longer a littoral state. And these oil wells are on the ocean. Now, and therefore, they must count for the state that is nearest to the ocean, and that is Akwa Ibom. And don't forget that in Nigeria, there is a law that allows you to get benefit only up to 200 meters of where the oil is located. So we have thousands of oil wells that we are not getting revenue from. That's what you need to do. So the few oil wells amongst those oil wells that could even give revenue to Akwa Ibom said,
they're not getting.
They are quite
viewers should know that you can call us on 0207 9087 280, and if you're outside the UK, you can call +44 207 9087 280. Now, Governor Akwa, I keep wondering, why are you sticking your neck out for President Jonathan? You seem to have taken on his problems. First, you supported 16 governors against 19 governors. People say that you simply just supported a situation where the president splits the governors forum into two, and that you are one of the people inspiring him to circumvent democratic process within the governors forum.
Anybody who knows me knows that I stand for integrity, and I don't. Let me use a word you must excuse me. I don't monkey around. I don't politicize things. I stand for truth. In the governors forum, there was no tenure for any chairman. Of course, we had various chairmen, but at least the one I came to meet shortly after we came in 2007 was Governor Saraki of Kwara State. There was no tenure. And so all of a sudden, he attempted to go for presidency. And then we said, no, you can't use the forum where you are a sitting chairman to go for presidency when late President Yaradua was ill. And so we now said, look, whoever wants, in fact, we attempted to impeach him and announced the impeachment and even brought out Governor Benga Daniel, then of Ogun State, as the interim chairman. So when we resolved the issue, we now said, look, nobody that is a chairman should use the forum to catapult himself to another office. And meanwhile, let us peg it. Let us put the ceiling. It will be 2 years in the south and 2 years in the north. And this is the position. So the first beneficiary of this new arrangement happens to have been Governor of Rivers State, who became the chairman. So, but immediately after his 2 years, he now attempted to go for a second term, which has always been a problem of African leaders. Nobody wants to leave office. Nobody wants to leave power. And the Governors Forum, there's nothing in it. It's a forum of equals. That's what you call primus inter pares. So there's nothing in it. It's just like it's an association of equals. A very loose association that it just, let's sit down, in spite of, let's be apolitical. Let's sit down and discuss national issues, irrespective of political parties. And so when he attempted to go beyond the 2 years, we said no. So all the things you are hearing about 19 against 16 are struggling. Have you ever seen somebody conducting his own election? So he tried to, because that's why we have INEC as an independent body conducting election. This one, he tried to conduct his own re-election in order to enable him go for a second term. And we said no, it is a turn of the North. And that was why the North went and met and brought out Governor Jang in their Northern Governors Forum and brought him to us. But meanwhile, there was no point for election. We have never had election in Nigerian Governors Forum since 1999, when the association came into being. This was going to be the first time. And so the position was meant for the North. That was why the Northern governors met and brought out Governor Jang. And when we came to the meeting with the current governor of Rivers State, he attempted to elongate himself. So the question of 19 against 16 is not an issue. What is an issue is that we are honorable men. And as governors, we should stick to any arrangement that we have. So that's one. Then two, you said I seem to support President Jonathan against all odds. And I seem to take on his problems.
You've taken his enemies
on. You should, not his enemies. You should take on the challenges. If the president is still being challenged by insurgency, by criminality, by kidnapping, it should be everybody's business. And because the success of the president is the success of Nigeria, is the success of my children. I keep saying it. I said, if you elect a president of a country and you don't support that president to succeed, what you are doing indirectly is that you are destroying the future of your children. So what would be the need to have a 4-year tenure for a president? And then you distract that president, his budget cannot work, he cannot put anything on ground. Who will lose in the long run? It is our future generation. My little 5-year-old son will be the one to lose if the president should fail. So for me, I won't see that supporting President Jonathan. I will see that supporting Nigeria. Okay, Governor, doing everything possible to ensure that Nigeria works.
Okay, Governor Akwa, I've got a caller before Moffat comes in. I've got a caller, Patrick from Ireland. Patrick, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
What part of Ireland are you calling from?
I'm in Galway City.
All right, go ahead. You've got Governor Akwa in the studio.
Yes, meanwhile, just before I start, I just want to thank Bell Television for the wonderful programs and appreciate the TV programs you have. Can I just talk to the governor now?
Yeah, go ahead. Speak to the governor.
Yeah, governor, please.
Yes.
I just want to thank God for your life. I'm not from Akwa Ibom State. Most times when they are showing the transformation agenda you had so far, I feel so happy to be part of that country with people like you.
Thank you.
And I read newspaper online every day. Just last week, I was reading where you were in the state. The people from your state were all crying that your 8 years tenure is coming to an end. But it's just the beginning. It's not coming to an end. I just want to appreciate you as a Nigerian with vision.
Thank you.
Your doors are continually going to be open. I'm not going to spiritual things, but I rather think because level is your portion.
Thank you.
God will bless you, because if we have all the governors with the vision like I'm from Delta State, and I was opportunity to have people from the then Cross River, who is now Akwa Ibom and Cross River. In my roommate, I read chemical engineering. I had two Akwa Ibom State guys who were my classmates. They are wonderful people. I just want to encourage you to do more. There are more open doors for you.
Okay.
I encourage you. So thank you. And
all right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Patrick from Ireland. Because I want Koriko to ask his question.
Thank you, Patrick. But if you listen to Patrick, I went to address Akwa Ibom people in the diaspora. And there was this upsurge of people saying, look, we want third term. We want third term. Yeah. And I said, no, you can't have third term. The reason is that the Nigerian constitution cannot allow me to go for a third term. And then, of course, at home they have an association now. You see billboards, you see vehicles. They say God's will you miss. God's will, literally in English means God's will we shall miss you. So, and then it's gaining momentum. You see thousands of people wearing T-shirts and they write there, Yao miss, that's I'll miss you. So you see, it shows you that the common man on the street knows the difference between propaganda and governance. Because you see, reality is different from utopia. And so you see, people try to do politics who want to, they realize that they cannot fault the governor in terms of performance. So they try to attack his personality, but yet Nigerians said, look, what we have seen here, we have never seen it before. I keep saying, I said, even me, I'm a beneficiary of good governance in Akwa Ibom State. 2011, I made a statement. I said, if I was not contesting election for governor, the governorship in Akwa Ibom, I would have voted for God's will Akwa Ibom. Why would I vote for God's will Akwa Ibom? Because God's will Akwa Ibom has brought about uncommon transformation and done things in a way that we never thought government could answer to the yearnings of the people.
I want Koriko to ask a question. We've got another caller from Ireland, but please hold on so that my colleague will be able to.
Your Excellency, I think you're the pioneer chairman of the PDP Governors Forum.
Yes.
And like you said, Nigerians have come to see you as a poster of the Nigerian political class. My question is, to what extent are you able to use your chairmanship of the PDP forums to get your colleague governors to be able to achieve the same things you're achieving? Do you have something like a peer review mechanism? Have you been able to leverage that position positively to improve governance across the country, at least in the PDP states? Well,
you'll be amazed at what is going on in Nigeria. Yeah, I mean, if you visit home, for those of you in the diaspora, you'll see that there's a tremendous improvement in the country across board. For instance, the first thing I did when I became chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, the ruling party in Nigeria, was to begin to rotate our meetings so that we can do peer review mechanism.
Yeah.
We try to take our meetings to various states of the country so that we compare what we are doing, because as governors, you are going to take us around your projects, you are going to tell us what you are doing, and then we also note the things we think you are not doing well, and we will also advise. And that has worked very well for us. And then in the course of it, we now realize that it is not only one mother that cooks sweet soup. That's the Nigerian part. It was amazing. For instance, we were in Jigawa State. We saw a brand new international airport done by Jigawa State government. We were in Katsina. In Katsina, we saw dualized thoroughfares that link even up to Niger Republic, done by the government of Katsina. And then we were in Niger State. We saw what he has done massively in terms of agricultural program and all that. So
you seem to be mentioning PDP states here.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying.
So why you keep emphasizing the fact that PDP governors are doing better than
well, the
APC?
thing is that show me any governor in Nigeria that can compare with what I've done as a PDP governor.
Your brother governor, Rivers State, Lagos State
show me one governor in Nigeria that has done as much as I've done as a PDP governor. And I will tell you that the only person in Nigeria today that you can say has shown a glimpse of hope in the opposition amongst the governors is Governor Fashola of Lagos.
Would you like him to come to the PDP?
He doesn't need to come to PDP. It's not a political party that drives you. It is a love for your country.
Okay.
If you are dedicated and you have love for your country, the political party doesn't matter. You get elected anywhere, but have the interest of the people at heart. Okay. And I think that is the most important thing. And for me, I tried, he mentioned peer review, and he said, how can we impact on the other states? It's not like you have good governance in Akwa Ibom and then you don't have it in Gombe. And I said, no, it is across board, because one thing is that is the reason why Nigerians entrust their trust in PDP. And then for those of you in the diaspora, you should wonder, how come PDP every time? The reason is that PDP is the only truly national party and the only party that has democratization, that is not owned by an individual. The only party that is not one person that dictates things. The only party that actually thinks of Nigerians and tries to ensure that the funds of the people are used for the people. Yes, you may have corruption here and there, but it's not so widespread. The politics is getting more refined.
Okay.
From 1999 till date,
I would have to bring.
If you come into my state, for instance, what was the story before I came? So much money goes to the Niger Delta, and so little is seen on the ground. Today, people come into my state and they get amazed. They look at the world-class international stadium and they say, my God, this is something we used to see in Spain, or something that we saw once in Brasilia. And then suddenly it is in Rio. You come and see the kind of flyovers and say, God, are these things possible? Okay. You come down to a place where you see water fountains and you drive for 60 kilometers, you don't see a single pothole. Okay. The whole city is clean.
I want to bring a caller. So what I'm saying is that you probably have one of your fans here. We've got Oliver, because he's on the screen. Oliver, we're so sorry for keeping you. You're calling all the way from Ireland. Good evening.
Good evening, Oliver.
Hello, Oliver, are you still there?
Yeah, how long will it take?
We do apologize. Go ahead, you've got the governor now. Hello, is Oliver still there?
Hello?
Go ahead, you've got the governor. Isaiah, sorry. Where are you calling from, please?
From Manchester.
From Manchester. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just calling to appreciate the governor for what he's doing. He's doing a great work.
Thank you.
And I pray that God will continue to uphold his hands for the rest of the tenure, and that God will give him a successor that will uphold and continue with that same vision, because Akwa Ibom is a role model.
Thank you.
God bless you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you too.
Yeah, thanks for your call. You talked about succession. Now, the question is, why are you trying to impose a successor on the people of Akwa Ibom State? Before you answer that, the rumor or the things going around is that you want to be a senator. So you displace someone so that you can be a senator and impose someone else on the people.
No. It's not it's not it's not displacing someone. No, politics is not like that. Okay. In politics, you go for primaries, and then if you win the primaries, you now go to the Senate. Actually, in my senatorial district, I intend to offer myself to the people If they accept me, then I will go. If they don't accept me, then I will
So
go.
we have this first on Ben TV. Governor Akpabio intends to run for Senate.
Yes, I intend to run for the Senate, you know, because it's because of the people's yearning. They came to me and said, listen, you can't do what you have done here without going up to the federal level to see how you can contribute your quota and your experience towards a better Nigeria. And then we want to deepen democracy in Nigeria. Don't forget that this is something that has been practiced in a place like United States for centuries, and then ours is less than 15 years old. So you are looking at every Nigerian must do everything possible to deepen democracy, and then in deepening democracy, it must come with proper legislation, because of course what drives this country, United Kingdom, is obedience to laws, the discipline that you have in the society. So we must make sure that the kind of laws we bring out will now guide democracy and bring about good governance for our people. Things are getting better in Nigeria. And I love what Isaac said. He said God should bless me, but I say God should bless him the more. And then Isaac, everything starts from election. Everything starts from election. If you bring out the best set of people, then definitely you are going to have good governance. And like you said, oh, you are trying to impose somebody, I will not. I can make recommendation. I can tell my people that out of the plethora of candidates, that these are the people I feel will best run the administration. I can point fingers, but it's left to the people to elect who they want to elect. Because the kind of leaders you have, you know, are the kind of leaders, at least in democracy, are the leaders that the people want.
Okay,
so it's not what the governor wants.
We've got a caller on the line. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from London.
Go ahead, please. You've got Governor Akpabio.
Yeah, good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening, my brother.
My name is Vincent. I simply want to congratulate you. Everybody, everybody's proud of what you've been doing there. But at a stage, I was wondering, did Goswill attend to Yenegua Grammar School? Because you are doing what the motto says, not for us, but for others. So what you are doing there is just example to show that it's not only for your own benefit, but for the benefit of everybody in Nigeria. So I think if others can emulate what you are doing, it will help us more. I just want to congratulate you and more grease on your elbow.
Thanks, Vincent. I think you've got a question for the government.
Vincent, I must say that I'm not really a politician. When I came into government, I came with a lot of anger. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians who left Nigeria to the diaspora were angry that things were not working in our country. So I came into government with a lot of anger. And I said with the amount of money in Nigeria is endowed with, that things could have been better. And I believe that what was happening to us was a lack of visionary leadership. And so I was determined. I did not want to moan. I did not want to cry. I did not want to say, oh, how I wish. So I said, today I cannot talk about corruption. I cannot talk about poor leadership because I'm not a leader. So I must lead by example. I must show that Nigeria could be better. And I must start from my state and then prove a point that government can work. Because I believe that government is next to God. And God, we have hope in God because God will redeem us. And people should have hope in government that government will be there for them. And that was why I came up with the kind of programs that you have seen in my state. And by the time we intervene in areas that people thought were not possible, even the man interviewing me knows a road that we call Etimekbo Road. 56 kilometers of road with a bridge. It was cut off in 1969 during the Nigerian Civil War. And then for over 40 years, the people had no road to cross and make their kit and kin. They have to go through Aba in Abia State in order to come to Akwa Ibom for 40 years. So when we came up and we intervened, we completed 56 kilometers of that road with a fantastic bridge. The day it was commissioned, people sat on the road and wept for 4 hours. And they call it uncommon transformation. Okay, so there are a lot of issues. I was a very angry person that I felt, look, these things could be done. And I need to let you know, for those of you in the diaspora, come and take an assessment of what we have done in my state. You need to know that the same money that we are using to work could have also bought high rises in Dubai, could have bought houses in London and other places. We cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. When money is being frittered away, where a lot of capital is being sent abroad, automatically you will not see something on the ground. So I think that is where the commendation comes from.
Okay, I've got Chris.
We have a government that is using the people's money not to move its own pocket forward, but to move the society forward. So I'm happy that you have noted this in the diaspora.
I've got Chris from London, and I know Ekoriko is really wants to get his question in. But Chris, because we want the people at home, the viewers, to take control of this program in terms of being able to relate with you. So Chris, good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from London.
All right, you've got Governor Akwa Ibom, please.
Okay. Good evening, Governor.
Good evening, Chris.
Thank you for the good job you've done in your state.
Thank you.
We've been seeing a lot on television. I've got 3 questions for you, and it's in regards of the federal level. One is about the Boko Haram. What is the federal government is doing about this Boko Haram? It seems they are losing the war on Boko Haram. That is one. Then number 2 is about the Ebola outbreak. Nigeria has done a lot of job on Ebola outbreak. I can commend them on that. But what I don't like is that asking America to come and aid them out about Ebola outbreak. We've got a lot of biochemists and pharmacologists and laboratory technologists who can research and build out this Ebola outbreak. That's number 2. Then number 3 is the issue of light. It's taking a long time for you guys to work on this electricity line.
Wow.
So, Governor, these 3 points, I want you to elaborate.
Okay, thanks. Just hold on there. Thank you. We want Austin quickly from Sheffield. Austin, quickly ask the governor your question.
Yeah. Good day, Governor.
Good day.
I thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you, Austin.
God will bless you and your family.
Amen.
Yeah, actually, you have indicated interest in being a senator. But you have proven a lot of capability for the politics of Nigeria. Why don't you, if you are given a choice to be the president instead of the senator, what will you do? Or do you think that you're going to embarrass the president because maybe he wants to go for the next term?
All right, thanks, Austin. Thank you.
I'll start from there to answer. Austin, Nigeria has about 6 zones, 6 geopolitical zones. So currently, President Goodluck Jonathan comes from the South-South zone. So it would not make political sense for anybody from the South-South zone to aspire to be president of Nigeria. We expect that the presidency will go to another zone after Goodluck Jonathan has finished his 2nd term in office as a president. So I'm from the South-South zone with the president. That's one. And of course, it's not been easy for even the South-South to produce president. Nigerian presidency is not something that is done on merit. So we have not got the kind of homogeneous political system yet, like you have in America, where anybody can come from any state and aspire for presidency. So today, Nigerians know that this is the turn of the South-South zone, and so we expect that after President Jonathan, it will go to another zone of the country, just like it came from the other zone in the West, from the Southwest zone, and it came up. Actually, it didn't come to us. It went, I think, to the Northeast. If that's where President, was it Northwest? That's where President Yaradua came from. And unfortunately, on his demise, the Vice President took over. So clearly speaking, if this opportunity is given to Mr. President to conclude his 2nd term,
you wouldn't want to
be satisfied. I don't have to serve Nigeria in the position of president. It doesn't matter what position. What matters is that the service to Nigeria has to be collective. From the diaspora, from anywhere. Anybody that has anything to contribute should contribute. You don't have to contribute from only one position. That's why I'm very determined that even if I'm a PA to a president or a senator in 2015, I will continue to do my best and bring up my ideas to serve Nigeria. And I want Nigerians to see it from that point of view, because people struggle for positions that are not necessary. Even as a school principal, you can create a niche for yourself and then bring out children that will be the best for Nigeria in future. Children that will not be involved in vices such as kidnapping, criminality, armed robbery, or Boko Haram, or things that can embarrass the nation.
Okay, I
need to answer that first question.
Okay.
Nigeria is doing a lot on the issue of Boko Haram insurgency. And, that's a security situation. We can never lose that war. This is not the first time we have been faced with such challenges. We have Maitasine, we defeated it. And we had the rise of Masop, we defeated it. And so this is not the first time.
Would you say President Goodluck Jonathan is doing a good job of...
It's not the president alone, it's collectively. I belong to the leadership in Nigeria. So the entire military class, the entire military hierarchy, the entire political hierarchy, and I believe that all Nigerians, including the clergy, those who are praying, are all collectively saying this thing.
But we have only one commander-in-chief. You as the governor of Akwa Ibom State.
Commander-in-chief will not go to the war.
With due respect, you as the governor.
Only coordinate. No, I'm just
yeah, no, you as the governor.
Now,
Your Excellency, let me put this.
Let me tell you something. Americans, when they had 9/11, the entire America came together behind their president.
Are you insinuating that Nigerians have not been behind?
No, I mean, you know, because of our level of development, everything seems to be politicized in Nigeria. So when you see a major threat like Ebola, like he said, like Boko Haram coming, instead of you to rise up, you start blaming the government.
Are you aware that are you aware that civilians are forming JTFs in northern Nigeria to face the insurgency?
Do you know what that means? That means that civilians are trying to contribute their quota towards ending Boko Haram. Now, that shows you clearly that Nigerians are concerned, and therefore their efforts, even if they come as agents of government, providing intelligence to the military, it means that we will win that war. I'm just trying to assure you that government is not sleeping. Now, government will win that war.
Governor,
you know, the issue of Ebola, you know, Ebola is not a Nigerian issue.
Absolutely.
This is an imported thing. So, and then so far, I need to assure you, the Nigerians in diaspora, that every case of Ebola had been traceable to only one index. And they, of course, in medicine, they call it the index. The index is that soya that came in. Even the latest one that we had in Port Harcourt turned out to have been one of the doctors in that hospital that had something to do with soya. So it has been that one index. And I must commend the government of Lagos State and the federal government for the way they rose in terms of.
Are you prepared in Akwa Ibom State?
No, we are not prepared, but we don't want to have it at all. We don't. So even though we are prepared, I was the first to purchase over 80 of those kits and all that, and then of course we made all sort of preparation. We have 3 centers for isolation. We prepared ourselves, but we don't want to have one single one. So I'm not praying for one. So I'm sure the viewers will agree. I think Nigerians have reacted very well, and then we have also been able to get international collaboration, and I must commend the international community for their reaction. Yes, Ebola had existed in Democratic Republic of Congo. It had existed in Senegal, in Liberia and other places. But the moment one single case was reported in Nigeria, something happened. The international community, the United Nations, rose up as one and declared it a world emergency. The reason they did that is obvious. Because of the size of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, we are about 170 million. And you know the implication of that. Now we are the most traveled set of people worldwide. And then 1 out of every 4 black person you see in the world is a Nigerian. And so if it affects Nigeria, it means it must become a world emergency. So the global community has risen up very well. And I'm assuring you that we are working with the Americans are in Nigeria, the British are in Nigeria. If there's any Nigerian in the diaspora that has knowledge of medicine and wishes to contribute towards helping, we are not going to stop at helping Nigerians alone. We are going to go across the border to help Liberia, to help Senegal, to help Guinea, so that this thing will not be imported
to our country.
Of course, exported from there, and then, of course, brought into our country.
I want a correct
Your Excellency, when you came in, you made the problem of the stigmatization of the Akwa Ibom child on 2 fronts. One was the issue of child witches. The other one was that Akwa Ibom State was literally a provider of houseboy and house girls to the Federation of Nigeria. You came up with the child rights law very early in your administration. The question is, to what extent have you been able to lift the Akwa Ibom child out of the situation you made? To what extent have you stopped the stigmatization? To what extent have you transformed their lives so that they are no longer houseboys and house girls?
Well, I'm delighted that you asked that question, because I'm still waiting for CNN to come back to Akwa Ibom State to do a follow-up of the story. It started with Channel 4 television in Britain here, when they showed a film about a young man who came and was talking about a child, which is and the film was so funny. And they showed the child by the roadside, and he picked up the child, and then he brought out clothes, and the clothes were the size of the child. How did he know he was going to meet that child? And he prepared the clothes, and he gave the clothes to the child, and then he now does. And even what the child was wearing was better than what he gave to the child. The child was wearing lace, and lace material in Africa, in Nigeria, is a ceremonial dress that you wear either on Sundays when you are going to service, or you wear when there is an important occasion. So you can see that that film was orchestrated to make money. It was done for pecuniary reasons, and of course, eventually they fought, and the truth came out. And I came up here and I said, listen, witchcraft story and then accusations. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. Yeah. It's not peculiar to Africans. It happened even in the developed world. In the United Kingdom in the 16th century, you used to hear of the witch of Endor and all those things. There is a level of education, you know, of the people that determines their beliefs. Yeah. And therefore that I was tackling that. And of course that comes to also, that answer also comes with the issue of, yes, your people were known for house boy, house girl. How did you tackle it? Education, education, education. So I declared free and compulsory education. We have built over 6 brand new classroom blocks across the state. Today, I did not declare free education for only Akwa Ibom children, because what was happening was lack of education. The level of literacy in the society. You cannot throw your child away because the man is a drunk and he says, oh, it is my child that made me to drink, and that means that my child is into witchcraft. That shows you that the father does not know what he's talking about, and it was nothing but criminality and abuse of the child. So we have about 1.9 million children today at the basic education level, and we open it up to all Nigerian children who are resident in my state. And then we brought in a little bit of an innovation. We pay subvention, 100 naira per child per term in the primary school, and 300 naira per child per term in the secondary school to the heads of those schools, to provide logistics for those children. Then we pay the final examination fees of NECO and WAEG, and so education is totally free from basic, from the primary school all the way to senior secondary school level. And that was the reason why we had to establish a second university, because of the influx, the number of children that are now coming out, the output from the various secondary schools in the state. So I have tackled that issue. Today you can hardly see any child who is hawking or going to be a houseboy or a housemaid. And it's against the law. We made it not only compulsory, we also enshrine a provision that makes it a criminal offense for any guardian or parent that has a child of school age not to allow that child to be in school. Because it is criminal for you not to allow a child to have a future. Because if you stop a child from going to school, you have blocked that child's future.
Okay, I want us to get, we have a lot of tweets on people on Twitter asking on the social media. I've got Intakrok Epo. It says, Governor Akpabio spends almost 2 billion on Christmas, 2.9 billion for Christmas Carol.
2.9 what?
2.9 billion on Christmas Carol. That's it's from Intakrok Epo. And then we also have Julius Ojo. Can you ask the governor what institutions, procedure is putting in place to keep the development ongoing so that his successors would keep to his, that's somebody else. We've got a lot of questions from on the social media. We can't take it. So let's have the two.
We did not spend 2.9 billion on Christmas Carol. So we happen to be the only state in Nigeria that is named after God. Akwa Ibom state. It actually means God's own state. Yeah. And so because of our name, and my own name is Godswill, the only thing that I know about is that my name has God in it. So I also see that one of the things that can lead to success is if you're able to know that where the physical strength stops is where the spiritual strength begins. And so where the power of man stops is where God's power starts. So we have one state that has a covenant with God. We are the only state that invited God into governance. And you see, and that is why America succeeded when they said, in God we trust. So in my state, we believe strongly that God leads and then the governor follows. And so we start the year with a solemn assembly. We hand over all our intentions to God in a very big, massive ceremony. And thereafter, every month we have what we call interdenominational church services, where we bring in all members of the clergy across board to pray for the state and pray for the peace of the state, and then also pray for the progress of the state. And then at the end of the year, when God has kept us alive, we have not had any major tragedy, we have not had any major disaster, we have not had any earthquake, and then suddenly we say, what do? We have to do what? We have to thank God. And we thank God through Christmas Carol.
So you're not spending 2.9 billion.
We assemble
so how much do you spend on the Christmas Carol?
We assemble the largest choir on planet Earth to give praise to God. Because unknown to a lot of people globally, the only reason why God created man was for man to praise God. God did not create you unless you don't believe in God. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian. What matters is that we have one God, Almighty God. God created you for only one purpose, for you to worship Him and for you to praise Him. And so at the end of the year, when God has given us all the blessings we are counting, the uncommon transformation has given us life and has given us peace and given us security and progress that we can see with our eyes. We now assemble our children, and then we form a unity choir We have 31 local governments, so we take at least 300 children per local government, form them together into a big choir that we call 9999. 9,999 children singing with others to praise God. And then we do so by heralding the birth of Jesus Christ, that God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son, to be born and to die in order to redeem mankind.
I still want to get that question. How much do you spend on the Christmas?
Well, I don't have the figure.
But it's not 2.9 billion.
Something that will be above $3 million. But if we spend that for God, that has given us so much blessings, I will be very excited. At any point in time, people talk. They don't talk about what they spend on criminality. Because when we do that, do you know that even the criminals are on holiday all over the country? It's a major tourist thing. We have people, choirs that come from South Africa, from Soweto, from the Democratic Republic of Congo. We have from Ghana. We have from St. Kitts and Nevis. We have international Grammy Award winners from United States of America. They join us. Last one we had Reverend Jesse Jackson. He came with a delegation from United States. We had Bishop Oyedepo of the Winners Group. We have had Pastor Deboye. In one of the years, we have had Pastor Kumuyi and great men of God who come in, and we together we join our voices to sing and we minister to the world. We minister, actually. It's ministration through songs, and ask God to bless the world and to give peace to the world. It's a spectacular ceremony. The person who is talking about money. You cannot quantify the benefits of that in terms of money. When God sends a star to stay on top throughout the ceremony and look down on Akwa Ibom people, and then at the end, God brings about uncommon transformation in all facets of life. My brother, I've got praising God.
That's Governor Godswill Akpabio. And viewers, you know that's an interesting conversation we're having. Don't go away. We're going to go on a short break. Governor Akpabio is still in the studio. You can see it takes any question, no holds bar, and just keep calling the studio, and we're going to take your Twitter messages. It's Ben Television. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome to the Uncommon Transformation television series.
Akwa Ibom, ayayao, sinyana baraswene kisonge mananye. Akwa Ibom, ayayao, ayayao.
The Uncommon Transformation Agenda of Governor Godswill Akpabio-led administration received presidential seal and endorsement when the nation's #1 citizen visited Akwa Ibom State to commission projects undertaken and completed by the state governor. Top on the bill was the Okwo gas processing facility built under a PPP arrangement between the state government and Seven Energy, an indigenous Nigerian oil and gas exploration development production and development company. For the 4th time since becoming president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan arrived the state to the warm embrace of the good people of the state, led by his host, Governor Godswill Akpabio.
Government house. an indication that the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Obot Akpabio, has performed very well. The president wouldn't just come for anything if there's nothing that is important that will bring him. So it's an indication of good performance. It's an indication of the uncommon transformation that is going on in Akwa Ibom State.
I must say that, I've heard uncommon transformation. I've not seen it before now. Until today, I didn't realize the extent of transformation that has occurred in this state. Between 1992 and 2004, I was in very active legal practice. And I had cases in Eket, in Oron, in Okopedi. I had in Ekotekmene, in Etinam, and in Uyo. I used to drive from Port Harcourt myself to all these places. Now, surprisingly, coming into Uyo, in fact, getting into Uyo and from Uyo to Oron Road, as I stand there, I didn't even realize where is the Oron Road again. Every road has been transformed to a life looking completely, everything is looking completely new.
Indeed, the people were anxiously waiting for Mr. President.
On television, we still have in the studio Governor Godswill Akpabio. And then we also have Mofat Ekoriko, who is joining me to send your questions across to the governor. Ekoriko is going to ask questions on healthcare, and I'm going to be taking on the issue of sports to the governor. But before then, there's actually a question I'll just throw straight to the governor. And the first question is going to be the controversy about you giving 1 million naira for people to buy Mr. Biggs. I don't know if you recall that. It's been on social media. People are talking about it, that you went to a senatorial district and you just gave people 1 million to go and have Mr. Biggs. I don't know if you're aware of that. Another thing I would want to ask you is the controversy about the pension bill. 100 million naira for a retired governor, 50 million for a deputy governor. Yeah. I mean, how did you ever think that a country that cannot even take care of its people will be giving retired governors such huge amount of money, Even though people acknowledge you're putting infrastructures in place, are they going to pay you back when you've left? We'll be paying for you to...
You're talking on behalf of the people. Allow me to talk. Allow the people to talk.
Go ahead.
First of all, we had a zonal meeting of PDP, 6 states of the Federation. And then each state had not less than 50 people, or 50 to 100 people. So you had, in that meeting, you had 6 states. And you had not less than 600 people. And then the meeting did not start on time because of the rainy season and all that, because of rain. So the people stayed there from morning 10 o'clock when the meeting ought to have started until about 4 p.m. They are stayed there for 7 hours, and there was no provision for them for food. I must be honest with you, because, of course, you know now that Rivers State, it was held in Rivers State. Yeah. Rivers State is now an APC state. Yeah. And then this was a PDP meeting. So you can see we were there hoping that we didn't know what was going on as leaders, because we were having meeting before the meeting. So by the time we went in there was complaint. People started complaining that they had not eaten since morning. Now, if you know 1 million naira to go and buy food for 100 people, 1 million naira to buy food for minimum of 100 people, there was no state that had less than 100 people. So that means that each individual cannot, in fact, at that time, some states had up to 200, some 250. So if you take 1 million in naira, 1 million naira in dollars is about, how much is that? That's about $5,000. Yeah. So we want to use $5,000 to feed 200 people. How do they share it? So at the end of the day, the money I gave was not even enough. So it's like saying $5,000 for 200 delegates from Delta State, $5,000 for 200 delegates from Akwa Ibom State, and all that. At the end of the day, let them go and buy food. It was politicized. So it wasn't 1 million per individual. It was 1 million per delegation, and each delegation had not less than 150 to 200 people. And I said, okay, and with the Biggs, if you go there, you buy things like maybe popcorn, and you buy what do you call it?
Rice and
meat pie mostly. Just pastries, cakes to come and share. So it's like giving $5,000 to somebody to buy pastries, cakes, and drinks for 250 people. Is that too much? And then the reason I did that was because I care. And because these are PDP faithfuls who voted us into power. And they stayed for 7 hours and they are not eating. And by 5 o'clock in the evening, somebody shouted and said, PDP. And they said, we are hungry. Okay. PDP, we are hungry. So they started complaining. So I said, okay, if you are hungry, please get representatives to go to Mr. Biggs and buy takeaway pastries and drinks to give to you. And because there was no provision for food.
On the pension.
The issue of the pension.
Of course, we want Francis to hold on. We know you'll be holding on.
And then I tell something. So this was, of course, it was politicized. And they started shouting, Governor Akwa is always giving money. So I leave that to them. Now, the issue of the pension, every state has its peculiarities. In my state, there was already a pension law that takes care of the former governors and former deputy governors. And it is in line with our constitution in Nigeria that the constitution enjoins the houses of assemblies in various states of the federation to make a law to cater for the pension of former governors and former deputies. So in our state, the law has been in existence since the year 2000. But there was a lacuna. There was an open-ended provision that says that free medical treatment shall be given to the former governor and former deputy and former governor's spouse and former deputy's spouse. So in practice, what I saw before me is that somebody could bring a bill of up to 40-something million. In fact, somebody could bring a bill of up to 50 million. 50 million naira. And then the person could say, oh, I took a charter plane to take my spouse abroad. And therefore the cost of the charter is here. That's one bill. Then you can have a former deputy, for instance. He appears before you and he brings a bill for 29 million naira. And then the other one, 25 for his own wife. You add the two. That is almost about 60-something million at one go. Or 50-something million at one go. And I said, that's in this quarter. Maybe a month later, the person brings another bill. So when I took cognizance of it, I realized that, yes, there were also others who did not spend up to 10 million naira in a year. But there were others who were interested in spending up to 146 million naira in a year. So that was why we went and I showed the documents to the House of Assembly. This is security. So it's not something that ought to be shown to members of the public. And they said, no, Your Excellency, we have to find a way to place a ceiling. And so the issue of 50 million ceiling is this, that the retired deputy governor cannot spend above 25 million naira in a year on medical. And even that 25 million naira will not be given to him. It has to go past through a medical board. When it is ascertained, it will be paid to the hospital. Then the wife will now spend a maximum of the same amount, because if both of them are to be covered through free medical services, you will expect that they will spend almost the same thing unless one has an operation or the other. So this was it. So you peg it at 50. Then for the retired governor, he cannot spend about 50 million in a year on medicals. The wife also cannot spend about 50 million in a year on medicals. Between two of them, that means both of them cannot spend above 100 million in a year on medicals. But again, they don't need to touch that money unless they have an operation or they are sick. And then we even attempted to have a kind of instant circular that will allow the medical board in the state, that is the health management board, to verify the bill before the money is paid. So in other words, it wasn't money meant to be released to the former governors or to the former deputies. But what happened was it was politicized. People jumped in and said, oh my God, he's going to take 100 million. And they didn't even think of the spouse. So what I did, I said, look, instead of my tenure of uncommon transformation with the massive infrastructure, we are talking about a government that has done so much. And then somebody wants to reduce what you have done into pension. I said, please, so let's withdraw it.
Fairness, you did.
It wasn't even meant. I'm not even a beneficiary, by the way. I'm going to the Nigerian Senate, so I'm not even entitled to a pension. I wasn't going to be a beneficiary of that pension law. So I said, why do I have to bother myself about something that is not even beneficial to me? It was something that was meant to help the state. So we withdrew the bill, and I pleaded with the House of Assembly that in spite of their good intention, which has been politicized and misunderstood by the public, they should repeal it, and that was done. So that does not exist any longer.
Okay, thank you. We have been told by my producer that we've just got 1 minute left, but I don't want the governor to just go abruptly. Can you tell Akwa Ibomites in London and in the diaspora your last words on this program? Well,
just to let you know that I love you, and I want to ask you a question that I asked those in the United States of America. I said, I hope I've left your state better than I met it in 2007. I think what is important is that any position you find yourself, any endeavor you find yourself, attempt to do your best and leave the place better than you met it. If we have the next governor of the state and he also does his bit and he leaves the state better than I have left it today, then you can be sure that yes, indeed, we have had sustainable development. I want to assure you that I love you and I thank you for the opportunity given me, and I look forward to your coming home to see for yourself, not just on television, and then you'll be slightly amazed what God has been able to put together for you in your state.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Godswill Akpabio, and thank you, and I really apologize, not enough time. Viewers, thank you for staying faithful. We'll see you next Thursday on Politics with KO, and it's Ben Television. We always bring Nigeria home to you in the diaspora. Good night, and thanks to my producer, Alistair Shoyede, the executive producer, and all the guys behind the camera. It's good night, and God bless.
Areas of Akwa Ibom State.